Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
I'm ready. All right, cool. We're back for year number 2 with Kevin. Thanks for having me out again. We're at the 3M booth. So you guys have created a lot of different products for the kind of the body shop industry with Bondo and different sandpaper and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I wanted to focus. And as we talked about before we started recording, sanding is becoming more and more prevalent in the detailing industry, right? So why don't you tell us about Tell us about the new sanding, and I think actually, as I think about it now, even though we didn't really talk about this, when we look at 320 grit, 400, 800, and the different grits and the new sandpaper, let's talk about that because you do have headlight restoration packages.
Right.
And we talked about that a lot last year, and I think that's amazing, right?
Right.
But a lot of detailers will buy the package of paper like this and then use it. So you want to tell us about
our new super flexible sanding sheets that we came out with this year, it's got a grip backing material on it, so if you're doing any hand sanding, this material is not going to slip on you. It's super flexible. You can fold it, shape it, roll it. It's not going to form a hard crease if you're doing any sanding.
Right.
With traditional sandpaper, if you fold it like that, you can get a hard edge, and then you can put deeper scratches in, cause a lot of damage.
Okay.
We have this available in 4 different grits right now. It's 320, 400, 800, and 1200.
Okay.
The reason we kind of picked those grits is because those are the steps getting ready for applying paint, primer, etc.
Got it. Right.
Then once you get to 1200 grit, that's kind of when you're trying to get the defects out after you apply your clear coat.
Right.
So use these, make your paint look nice and smooth.
So do you not need a sanding block then, or will the block still be good? Because with normal sandpaper without the block, you kind of can see your fingers.
You can kind of see your finger marks, but with this one, it does have a little bit of that texture with it.
Okay.
So that'll prevent some of those finger tracks.
Got it. And what I think's interesting too, so this is great because I think a lot of, especially on really bad headlights, you may need to go down to 320.
Absolutely.
Which
I've seen that in the past too.
Right.
Our headlight kits, the coarsest grade that we start with is 500 grit.
Got it.
But if you have a lens that has a really hard clear coat on there and you really want to cut that off, sometimes you do have to go down to 320.
Got it. And do these come on disc as well, or does that, when we get into is it the Trizac paper you were talking about?
Trizac paper, that's more of the 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 grades that we have.
Okay.
These are only available right now in the sheets.
Okay, in the sheets. So if you're looking at getting new paper for headlight restoration, this is kind of the newest, latest and greatest paper.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, so let's move on to the Trizac. What is the Trizac paper? Why is it different from this?
Yep. So Trizac is a 3M brand. It's a micro-replicated abrasive.
Okay.
It's very long-lasting. It's a foam back abrasive. It's the last step that we have in our current headlight restoration kit, as you remember from last year.
Yep.
Holding the 3,000 grit right now. We also have a new product that we've come out with. It's 5,000 grit sandpaper. And if you feel that, it doesn't even feel like abrasive. You're like, how is this even cutting? And it makes the compounding process so much easier. You get a finer finish, and it's just it's clean.
And that's what I wanted to kind of touch on because it's still, I think, in the infancy stage for detailers, but it's becoming a little bit more prevalent as well. Is instead of doing a really heavy, aggressive initial compound on a beat up car, a lot of guys are going to the 3,000, but now with 5,000, that may even feel more comfortable because I think that's kind of what's wrong with for detailers is they're very uncomfortable with sandpaper and cutting through clear like that.
There's that mindset that you don't want to put sandpaper anywhere near your paint, but if you do have some imperfections or scratches that are contained in the clear coat, using 3,000 or 5,000 grit, that will level up some of those scratches. Mm-hmm. If it goes all the way through to the paint coat, then you have more issues. There's a lot
100%.
deeper.
And that's a wet sand, right?
Correct.
Okay. And why would is there a 3,000 dry sand?
You don't want to use our 3,000 dry sanding.
Okay.
The reason you use wet sanding is you get more lubrication, you get a better cut.
Got it.
Longer lasting with water.
Okay. So does sanding, and I think this is kind of where it's going, does sanding create less are you actually taking off less clear when you sand with like a 3,000 or a 5,000? If you're careful, right? So that's the overarching theme. Is like, this is going to be a professional, not a consumer doing it, right?
If you're using a tool, you want to sand at low speeds. You don't want to go too crazy because you do have you can burn through if you're not careful.
Right.
You want to do light wet sanding, just a couple passes back and forth, crosshatch pattern, and then you can go on with your compounding, preferably with a DA or a rotary tool.
Got it. And I think we're going to start seeing that more, especially when you throw out something like a 5,000 and you can essentially go 2 steps on a really hammered car.
Sure.
It's almost like you got to go worse before you go better. But you're generating less heat, I would think. So
it's a lot easier to do standing steps.
Right.
It's easier to clean up. You don't have the compound as long. You're not going to see as many of those swirl marks when you're going through compounding or polishing.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the headlight restoration kit. I still think that headlight restoration is a huge revenue stream for detailers.
Absolutely.
And I love the. I think there was one kit, I think it was the medium grade, that there was no polishing even involved. You sanded it all the way out and then it had a wipe. Is that right?
With most of our headlight kits that we're selling today, we're saying that you don't even need to compound anymore.
Okay.
If you're using the heavy duty process that we have, we start with 500 grit, go to 800, then step up with our 3,000 grit Trizect. You have those 3,000 grit scratches contained in the lens.
Right.
Just use our clear coat and it would adhere to those scratches, fill them in, and it'll give you 4 times the longevity before it starts to yellow again.
Gotcha.
Anywhere you look, since I started working at 3M and started working with these headlight restoration kits, I just kind of have the eye, and it's almost like a curse. Like, that car needs a headlight restoration. That car needs a headlight restoration.
Well, it could be such a huge revenue, like an add-on revenue stream for detailers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And it's so easy to do. It takes 15 to 20 minutes. You have your lenses all shined up.
Yep.
And it's added value onto the car, especially if you're doing
100%. And it could be the make or break between the car the detail looking great and the detail not looking great.
It's a safety factor too. If you're driving around at night and you can't see, you're 100%. Not getting as much light output.
100%.
I've had people tell me that they're constantly driving with their high beams on.
Right.
Just because they can't see. Okay. Now if you're in the
dark.
And
a lot of people don't know it's fixable. That's what's still crazy to me is a lot of people think it's like
anyone
on
can
the
do
inside. And anyone can do it. And that's what I like about the kids too, is that if there's no compounding involved, because even if you put it on a drill, you can generate a lot of heat, right? And and it is plastic, right? So you can mess it up. But when there's no compounding and no polishing involved, it's really hard to mess up.
You can compound and polish, and it will make it look beautiful.
Right.
But then you still have that bare plastic. You've taken off all the OEM coating that's already there. You want to put something back on that has UV protection.
Right.
That'll give you that long time protection.
Right on. So are these papers, all the papers we talked about, are they out yet for purchase? Will they be out?
They're rolling out next year as retailers start to change over their sets.
Okay, so any major distributor, auto parts store, it'll be available there. Same with the Trizect?
Yep, should be.
Cool, right on. All right,
Great.
Cool, man. That's it.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.